Welcome to another edition of Hills Football Chat, Legends edition. Jeff Pistola here, and well, spring is in the air when a young man's thoughts turn to premierships, and who better to talk premierships at this time of year with a man who's actually holds the equal record of 9 HFL A-grade premierships. It's a great pleasure to welcome the great John Coventry into Legends Chat. John, welcome.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Well, pleased to be here.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, well, as we talk about 9 in the Hills Football League, which you share with the late Herman DeRoos and Roger Brooks, teammates of yours, of course.
Correct, yep.
We had a 10th one with SAFA competition, A-grade, and a 4 B-grade flags and a couple in the Colts. So he certainly knows what's required this time of year for flags, Covey.
Well, I think, yeah, Jeff, I mean, it's a good time of year to be playing footy. I mean, spring, as you said, spring is in the air, but I mean, it's what you strive for, and fortunate enough to be involved with those numbers with some very good teammates who came right through, wouldn't they? So it was excellent.
And as you can see, we're in the Mount Lofty Football Club club rooms, and just in front of the showcase, which documents a lot of that success that you had with your teammates in the golden era of Hills football for the former Heathfield Aldgate United Football Club, which we'll touch on a bit later. But well, where did it all start for you, John? Because the family being involved in the Heathfield community, and a lot of people wouldn't realise the Heathfield Football Club formed in the 50s, but was on the infield of a speedway, in fact.
Correct, yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, where the current high school is, you know, it's where we started there, and she was a pretty rough old ground. A bit like this one. It was a bit harder than this one. I mean, it had a similar slopes.
Yes.
You know, more to the side than up and down but to the wings. With a track around the outside. Our goal posts were a few stringy barks posts and stuff like that. And yeah, no, it was a good time of the year. I mean, and, you know, of course you didn't have lights on those days initially. And it was, yeah, the formation of a great group that came through, and, you know, all started pretty young. And it even started, as you say, when it started developing from the oval there to over here. You know, so.
Yeah. So your early formative years in footy, how did that start? Because there wasn't really any organised Colts competitions as such in those days, was there?
No, well, really it started off, I suppose, my elder brother who used to play a bit for Heathfield. He used to go watch the games and that, and then of course Stan Evans got the Colts going, and we, you know, started there. I mean, we were only 7 and 8 playing under 16s. We had no option.
Wow.
That's the only competition we were able to play in. It's, you know, not like it is today. And I think that's what taught a lot of us, you know, about football. I mean, because we learn how to lose before we learn how to win. Because one year, in 4 years, we won 1 game.
Wow, how the world turns, which we'll touch on a bit later. But is it sort of like some of the competitions these days? Because in some country areas, because of the lack of juniors, you do have younger kids playing, but they sort of wear armbands, so you know you're not supposed to tackle them or go easy on them. Did that happen in your case?
No.
Tough
well,
learning
I
school.
was in, we're just all in. I can remember when we used to play, like, mainly the big blokes I can recall, you know, like from Stirling, you know, your brother was one, but I mean, but there was the Drogamulla boys and these things. They were huge compared, you know, to what we were, you know, little blokes, you know, but yeah, you learnt to ride with it, and I think it taught us well. You know, so,
big difference, as you said, between an 8, 9-year-old or even 11-year-old compared to what 16, 15-year-olds.
Correct.
The man-childs, as they call them.
Yeah, no, a bit different, you know, but in those days, you know, it was what you did, you know, and we enjoyed it. You know, it was good. It was a good start to our foundation, you know.
And how was training? Because obviously, did you have training lights?
We didn't. No lights, no. But it was just training, because you just go in, you know, after school. And, you know, you go to Bridgie straight away. Yeah. Yeah, not like they have now, all this stuff. And you know, in those days you didn't even have trainers. You know, so
well, that's right.
Yeah, you had your coach who used to be our taxi truck too. He used to drag us whole teams around. You know, so yeah, it was a bit different.
No trainers. What I think the medical kit can. Bottle, tube of Denka rub and a pack of Chewies.
Well, if you're lucky, yeah. Yeah.
All right, and well, we talked about your premiership success. The first one comes in 1961 with the Colts premiership.
Correct.
Just take us through that.
Well, yeah, I mean, as I said, touched before, for 4 years we won 1 game. And the 5th years we weren't premiers.
So even make the finals was an achievement, let alone
well, that's correct, yeah. And we played out at, beat your Raider actually, out at Balhana Oval back in those days, which they were then they weren't called Onka Valley then. It was they were about, and we used to play, and they were the team we beat. The only team we beat in that 4 years.
Was that the Hills Football Association or Torrens Valley? Or?
No, it was Hills. It wasn't Torrens Valley. Yeah.
Okay.
And so we went from there, and I mean, after that, we 8 of those lads in that side went through to play in the first A grade Heathfield Aldgate United Premiership, and went through. And as you mentioned before, Roger Brooks and that, he was in that with myself. I'm fortunate enough to get through the whole 9. But after that, we then went down to town, and we played 2 years down in the Sturt Football League, and we won premierships down there too. 62 and 63 we missed out. So then we came back up in the hills after that.
So about, what are we talking about, 65, 66, we have the amalgamation of the Heathfield Football Club and the nearby Aldgate, of course, to form Heathfield Aldgate. Just how did that come about?
Well, I think Aldgate, because they play, I think it was the Hills.
No, Hills Central.
Hills Central, yeah. And I mean, they didn't have any juniors coming through. It was a bit of a struggle. And I think it was a good mix for the, next door to one another. And quite a few people that played here at Heathfield in the early days, they were playing B grade and whatever.
Senior footy down there,
So it just worked in very well. It was becoming a good mix.
Selection of colours, because Heathfield had always been the red and green, because Aldgate being the Tigers. Did you have the superiority in numbers or something to keep the red and green?
No, I think mainly because I suppose it moved to Heathfield. I'm not sure, but I think the name United sort of covers a lot. But colour-wise,
more known as United than Heathfield Aldgate.
That's right. Yeah, and I'm not sure where the agreement was on the colours, but anyway, it's all worked out well.
All right, 1967, it's the birth of the Hills Football League with a couple of zones, and 3 zones I think it is, and Heathfield Aldgate United. They are actually put into the top tier, the central zone, if I recall, and actually, interestingly, it was on a probationary period. I don't know when that ended, given the success they had, it might be still in. So I think under Lynn Evans, coach, and who'd had success as a coach, obviously at Stirling as a junior coach. So,
correct.
You scrape into the finals, win your way through, and actually knock off minor Premier and favourite Uradler in the grand final at Harndorf. I think we have a shot of that.
Yes,
of a young John Coventry in action, 18 years old. So you were the youngest in the team?
I was, yeah. Well, by a lot, about 3-4 months, but we had Harry Deans, Roger Brooks, so Kim Redbone, we're all similar age, just months difference, but right, it'll be the youngest a lot. And, I mean, it was start of a good era, I mean, it was, don't remember a lot about the game, but all I know we won.
Of course.
Good celebrations after, but still.
I was going to say, as a young bloke, you talk to a few people who've actually played as teenagers in premierships, and they go, how good's this? This is going to continue, and unfortunately, sometimes it's the last one they've got. They've had to wait a long time for the next one, but in your case, you only had to wait 12 months and back it up. But one of the best grand finals seen in the hills, if you're in late 1968, went down to the last kick, John.
That's right, yes, that's right. I can still picture it. I can still see Roger Burbridge, who wasn't over tall, but he was our ruckman and was on Harndorf Oval, and we were going up the hill. And it was on the, I suppose you call it the northwestern side, opposite the club rooms there, and boundaries throw in, come in, and Roger actually grabbed the ball, threw it on his boot and kicked it up, and Harry Deans happened to be there and landed in his arms. And poor old Harry hadn't done much.
It wasn't a little bit play like a pass, it was just shot on the boot and hope.
Harry marked it, and so we were down, I think, 3 points at that stage, and they're very close, and Harry put it through, and the ball went back to centre and bang, 3 points. So, and we were at half time, we were really struggling there. We were down, I think, about 4 goals, something like that, I can't remember. But it was, great excitement.
So, in what became a great rivalry in the early stages of the Hills League, you actually added this first part of torment for Onka Valley, who you beat that day. So
most definitely. They got avenged back in '78 when they knocked us off. It's
the
last year, but still. But I mean, we played against Onkas, and I couldn't tell exactly how many grand finals, but there was a few of them there. But and we also used to have good competition against them. Yeah. And I mean, we even though we were fairly dominant in winning games and also at premierships, I mean, we had some very close games through those periods of time. You know, so
Yeah, absolutely.
it wasn't all one-sided, far from it.
All right, 1969 comes along, and in your history, it was probably one of the few occasions you didn't make a grand final. Actually, a bit of history for you probably know it. Lose the first semi-final to Stirling at Mount Margaret Oval.
Yep.
The last time that Stirling, who were the amalgamation partners for the Mount Lofty situation, actually beat you.
Yes, yeah. I think, we ended up third or fourth that year, I think.
Yeah, fourth, yeah.
Fourth, yeah.
Stirling made their way through to play a ramp at Mount Barker in the grand final, but
Yeah,
yeah.
It was. I mean, again, next door neighbours, and you're always running those sort of people every day of the week sort of thing, and there was a lot of rivalry on the field. Off the field was quite different, a lot of friends, still a lot of friends from Stirling.
And take that a step further, it must have been interesting when you played Stirling, because playing against your brother-in-law, who married your twin sister Jill, because the late, great Harvey Dawes, how was that on a Saturday lining up? Was there... He was just another player out there, or was it a bit of interesting banter? Or?
As far as I was concerned, yes, it was. But Harvey was always a pretty mean competitor. Ended up with a few bruises here and there, different ones. But no, because we used to play.
It was all forgotten by Christmas, was it?
Oh, it was Christmas. But from night time was finished. One time there was one there that hung around for a while, but no, it was good, hard, rob. Yeah, which was good, and a lot of others. A couple of cousins played there as well, so we always competing against one another. Wayne Radbone and these sort of people.
Yeah, okay. All right, as we said, 1969 sees you drop out the premiership race, and the following year actually is the start. It wasn't successful initially, but 1970 will see the start of one of the great dynasties in SA country football. We'll be back with more shortly here on Legends Chat with John Coventry.
I'm Trent Shawland, Principal of Harcourts Adelaide Hills. So I've been running the business now for 25 years. We obviously specialise in residential sales and rural sales, property management, and we do some commercial work as well. It's a family owned and family run business. Both my children, Harry and Georgia, and my wife Kim are in the business as well. Long standing business that we're very, very proud of. For Kim and I, it's been all about what we can put back into the community as well. So the sport and local events have been something we've really focused heavily on to make sure that we are putting back into our local Adelaide Hills community. We've got two offices, one's in Mount Barker, 58 Gawler Street, and the second one here at Stirling is 8 to 12 Mount Barker Road, Stirling.
We've created pure magnesium blends designed to be part of a daily ritual that supports your body the way nature intended.
We wanted to create something simple, natural and effective that's not just about a product, it's about helping you feel your best every day naturally.
I've designed this Recover blend for athletes who can recover anytime, anywhere. Magnesium is one of the most important minerals for your recovery. Check out the blends at refuelwellness.com.au.
My name's Jeff Johnston. I'm the director of the Kiwanis Bookshop, and we're the only dedicated bookshop in Mount Barker. Our books are $1, $2 and $3. 95% of our sales goes back to the local community to help disadvantaged children and families. So your support with donations as well is much appreciated. So we hope to see you in the Kiwanis Bookshop for a Albert Place behind Dan Murphy's when you're next in Mount Barker. Thank you.
Back here on HFL Media, Legends Chat, and we're joined by Premiership hero, multiple Premiership hero, John Coventry. All right, John, we've discussed up to 1970, the very first 3 years of Heathfield Aldgate. Won a couple of flags. 1970, probably a turning point in the club's history when they acquired the services of a past South Adelaide footballer as playing coach, captain coach, because Warren Sherg Foster.
Correct, yeah. Well, Sherg, he'd actually just moved up here. He was building a house over at Crafers. Yeah, and Hayden O'Shaughnessy, who was our treasurer and was also the captain of our first premiership side, they were associated from South Adelaide Colts days. And Bones happened to wander around. He was actually going to go, Sherg was thinking about going to play for Sterling, to be quite honest, until Bones fronted up.
There you go.
And brought him out, so there you go. Yeah, so we've got to thank Hayden O'Shaughnessy for that. And when Sherg come in, it was different. It was.
So what did he bring? We had, as I said, Lindsay Dean Evans did it for 3 years. I suppose Sherg, with that background, having played under Neil Curley, Peter Darley, all those sort of guys, coming up. So did he bring a bit of professionalism and a different style of footy?
He brought a different style of footy. It was, more, flow-on sort of stuff, and that's what he tried to get going, handball and this sort of stuff. And I think that was, was the start of, our, because we could create a lot of play through that, and he got the run-on team going, which was good. And then Lynn was good in as far as he gelled the team together. It was very good. It was on and off the field, and Warren carried that forward. And that, I think, was a big part of it. It wasn't just, 20 players out for the field on Saturday. It also involved the community, as in your supporters and whatever else. And it was, and that flowed down through the Colts and whatever else. It was through our success in that area as well. So, it was quite different.
So 1970, you do make the grand final once again under Foster, but you're beaten by, as I said, a rampant Mount Bark, who completed their second premiership in a row. But then 1991 is the start of the dynasty in the
71.
71 was the start of the dynasty, and which in the end totaled up 87 unbeaten games, but this one commiserates the 50 in a row. Just memories of that era, sensational.
From the period,
what we're talking about, 7 premierships in a row.
Yeah, no, it was quite different. I mean, and it was again, as I say, we went through. I mean, when you look at our team from 61, Colts, that's as Heathfield, to flows through. There was 3 of us that played right through in the 9. And on top of that, we had the Colts side from Heathfield back in 1965, under 13 side who went premiers. Out of that, 9 of those played in A-grade football through that period of time with Warren as well.
Wow.
So it was an era where we had a lot of locals, kids that had come from the Colts up through, and we just were able to gel together. And I mean, it was, it never got boring winning, I can tell you that. We learned, as I said earlier, that we learned the hard way. I had to lose first before we had to win, but it was...
Could I ask you, because obviously winning, 4.5 seasons undefeated, does a touch of arrogance slip into you, or a catch of, we just have to roll up? I wouldn't think so.
No, definitely not. It was because, if you go back through the history of the games, individual games, there wasn't a lot where we actually walked off the oval, quite well in front. It was a lot of close games, and we really couldn't take it for granted. Week to week, you had to put in, and we did. And we had a lot of blokes who really put in the effort on the training track and whatever. And with Sherg's new style of footy, I think it created a lot of pluses for us. And as I say, with the community sort of feeling with the players on the field, that I think made a big difference. I can remember seeing a photo of one of our teams in the Courier. It's an old one we're flicking through on one of our reunion days, and we're actually playing Onkers at Onkers this day. There was one Onker player there, and there was 5 United blokes. That's what we thought. We hunted in packs and we worked together. And I think, and I think that was a big thing. We understood each other. And we just knew what was happening, and it was just brilliant. And I was very fortunate to be able to play in that period. As I keep saying, people say, why was it so different? I said, well, I don't know. It was just that time of your life where you're actually your social life was comes your footy because your community, you support that, and because there wasn't much other choices in those days. You had football, or netball, or cricket, and tennis, and that was it. So it was a community involvement. It was just a grand time, great time.
Well, other clubs probably envious and, well, let's face it, weren't that keen because coming to Heathfield was like a fortress. But did you find, and through Warren and then later coaches, they lifted to the standard? Because I think during that run, and even from, say, 67 through, you played most of the other power clubs at least once in a grand final. So clubs aspired to beat Heathfield and lifted their performances accordingly.
Well, that's right. I mean, if you look around some of the teams that we did play actually those days in the finals, I mean, they gave us a lot of run for money. I mean, we had the situation where we went through those games undefeated, but we knew it was going to happen one day. But our attitude was, make them come up to our standard, not us go back down to down to a lower standard. And I think that was a benefit for the community, for the club, for the actual association, to get them up. We did have a feeling that everybody wanted to get rid of us because we're winning all the time. But it was just one of those things where you had to perform each week. And some of these other clubs, they used to hate us on Saturdays, understandably.
Yes,
but Saturday night we'd go and I've still got a lot of friends from opposition sides because we go out and socialise together, and that's what was the difference,
And over that period, John, you had obviously the core group, but you had a lot of guys who came in, obviously some blokes who came from the outside, but as you said, juniors coming up through the club who intermingled into the team. So you had a bit of a turnover of players during that period.
We did, but not huge numbers. And again, most of our players, we were accused of bringing imports and stuff like that, but we had less than what other teams had, and less experience from people from, league and whatever else. So it was a homegrown team, really, when you look at it. And it's the start of our side. Everybody lived around the Oval, and even here, go back to like Alex Muir, who came from Uradel. I mean, Alex lived out here, at Longwood, and so it wasn't an import of players and cash going around the place. It was we had a couple that came up from south afterwards with Warren, like Keithy Stewart. Warren's brother Barry played a couple of games with us, and Brian Threadgold from south, he played part of the year. Les was out of footy before he came back and played. He only put a couple of years, but So I mean, and Les lived just across the road from the Oval. So it's and you take a bloke like people remember Big Jack Martin, our ruckman, who was great ruckman. He moved over from Victoria, but he lived obviously Aldgate Oval. And he came here originally because this Oval reminded him a bit of his hometown because he came out of Ballarat. And he had a team there. Sorry, probably like Bendigo. And they had an oval cut in the hill there, and he said, "Well, that's why I'm going to go play football there." And so it was. It wasn't the fact we're winning that these people came. It was they lived in the area.
Hey, getting back to about the Oval, would have been in your DNA a bit to actually play. I don't know if you've probably been involved with all the working bees they had and rock picking and everything, and it was carved into the side of the hill, as you said. The community getting involved.
Most definitely. I mean, it started because the government wanted to build a high school where original Oval was, where the Skyline racetrack is, and they gave us this land under agreement, and it was covered in heavily wooded, put it that way, and it goes back. There's photos around of cutting down the trees and starting that. A lot of the timber was taken down to the brick kilns down at High Marsh, down Hallett's and that for their fuel. So it wasn't wasted. And then, this was cut out. Once the Oval was levelled out,
Well, sorry,
to the best. Well, yeah.
Well, the surveyors, the theodolite not worked that day.
No, well,
as we know, unique.
There's 6 metres drop from top to bottom.
6 metres,
but we always found the top end was a scoring end.
Yeah, well, over the years, people have this thing in the guy, you got to kick downhill, but as you said, you can score uphill here quite as easily. So
yeah. So there was a lot of fill went in underneath, and of course the topsoil, because wasn't a financial club situation, plenty of money. So the topsoil went back in here, and weekends we'd have a whole emu of people out there with rakes and, raking all the stones, and with trucks out there throwing them all on. It was just a great community thing to get it going.
Yeah.
And once it was set up, our original, we had a competition here on a Saturday to open the oval, back when it opened. It was
Formal opening.
Yeah. So it was,
I think that the president of Sandford at the time, Tony
Correct.
Kenny, came up.
Yes,
Sandford. Hey, getting back to the run of flags, is there one that they're all good, as we know, the run of 7. And sticking them all in the close ones. Of course, 74 was close in the mud over at Urada, and of course, the 72, 73 battles with Sterling.
Yes.
It could have been coached by Warren Foster.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But any that stand out for you?
Oh, I think obviously your first one is always the greatest, I think. And I think even the second one, it was 68, was a come from behind at half time, which was good. But they were all good. But I mean, the first one I think would have to be one of the best, to move involved with, being a fairly young side and a new side, so considering we're there under probation,
and of course,
bit of extra pressure.
That's right. Of course, with success as in the club land, but you're also part of the very first Lovelock Shield victory by the Hills back in 1973. I know you probably played previously, but the Hills just sort of couldn't get together. And of course, once again, the great man Warren Foster weaving the magic, and also I think there was something like 13 out of the 20 that played were from Heathfield Aldgate United. So it was like running out on a normal Saturday.
Well, that's right. Yeah, it was. We did. It was. I think at that time, Warren had the feeling that he keeps saying, that he didn't appear to have the people coming to turn up for training or whatever else. So he talked to him, bang, But I mean, it proved right in the end. He was the coach, and I think Tony Whitewood got the best on the ground in the final out at Murray Bridge. Yeah. And so it was a good half a team effort.
And we talk about, I know you love the team situation, but we've got to obviously be remiss of us not to mention yourself as an individual brilliance, from Rowan as one of the best centremen going around the era, and probably still hold a candle these days, being your ability to adapt to the modern game. But Marl Millis, 1972. You'd been runner-up the previous year to your teammate Warren Foster. That's unusual, first or second.
Yeah.
And then runner-up again, I think, in 74, and then also in 77. So continued to be around the mark. John, I suppose, playing in midfield, must have talked to the umpires, hand the ball back. All the good things.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you do those things. Yeah. No, I mean, it was, just those things. I mean, again, it's something you never thought of. You go there because you don't go as an individual. It's a team game, and that's where we played. And I was fortunate enough, I suppose, to be able to be in an area where you get a better position. But you had to work for it. Wasn't simple, but it's something that's it's. As far as I'm concerned, it was a bit of personal glory, I suppose. But the main thing is these flags. That's the thing what it's all about, and that's what we all played for. And
but within such a great team, you're also 6-time best and fairest. So to the club, so to win a lot of those in premiership years also must have been satisfying.
Oh, most definitely it is. It's nice to be appreciated by your supporters, opposed to people who do these selections and stuff, and it's good. But again, it was a team effort, and you just don't take that glory as yours as such. It's just part of the history of the club, and I'm proud of that. But
starts a lot in the centre, John, as you know.
Too true, yeah. And I mean, the centre thing changed a lot too, because they brought in they had the diamond first,
that's right,
then they went to school. We didn't have it at all; it was just a circle. But it's all changed. But I think the square was the better improvement to the diamond.
How did you handle, mate? Obviously, it's all the time these days in the modern game, but the tagging role, was that around in your day, or they just let you run loose, or particularly when you played Sterling, you might have had the brother-in-law tagging.
I mean, because the ovals always seemed smaller then. It was much closer games too. I mean, like as in
congestion.
Congestion. But I think we didn't have the tagging. Well, I wasn't aware of that. Put it that way, and. We just target everything, because always you had Jeff Hammond or Brooksy there around, and later time Dasher Daly and these sort of blokes that help you out, and we're just working together, so and centreman, you always had a free rein.
Shut down, but
had a free rein. Yeah, that's right. So just a matter of going, is working together.
Now, all good things come to an end, not premiership-wise, but the unbeaten streak. And, of course, perhaps not a known fact, you did not actually play in the 1976, the second round too, when the Elkers finally beat them, because you had a broken arm, if I'm right.
Yeah, well, I did. Well, that's great, but I wasn't broken. I actually had tendons in my elbow. I wasn't allowed to bend it, but basically the same thing. And built my house and a bit of timber fell on it, the wrong spot, and that was it. And didn't play on that and stood that. But I've been trying to work out next game when I played and how many games we won from there on. So how many actual winning games I played in, but as an individual, not some at the club. But it was just, look, it was going to happen, and I mean it happened. And that day that the coach who coached us.
Well,
year
we've had
before,
Mick on Legends
Mick
chat.
Weatherall,
He did say that they did set themselves to win that after.
Yeah, well.
How are you going to be, mate? Like unbeaten premiership coach the previous year, and that's one of the highest scoring seasons by Heathfield Aldgate in their history. And see you later. I suppose Warren Foster coming back, he's got the runs on the board, but Mick certainly took ongo's there. But come the finals, of course.
Well, we got back. We got the main thing. And we lost a record, which held for 40 odd years or something until the company and club in Queensland took it on, and they actually rang me and was talking about when they were getting close to breaking our record. And then I said, well, when you look at our club, as in United's, for the 12 years it's going, where we played in 11 premierships and won 9, I mean, you haven't done that yet. So,
but also when you look at the overall club, won 30 premierships for the grade, so that's certainly a record.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So it wasn't just the A grade having success; it was right through.
And I think that's the thing. It was, as I said earlier, it was where all these young kids come through and kept coming through into the A grade, and that's what you need to feed your seniors. It's not just about your A grade side. It's the juniors you've got to look after as well.
All right, the end of the 70s is approaching, and certainly there'll be a change in the football landscape. We'll be back to discuss that shortly here on HFL Legends.
Mount Barker Ford is located just Totnes here on Mount Barker Road. We're owned by a gentleman by the name of Peter Thomas, who his veins are rich with football and rich with community, and he's always been based around the idea that everything you do in business should be based around how you can support the community. At the end of the day, I don't expect people to always come and see us, but ultimately we're a business who thrive in supporting the community, and from our perspective we look forward to the community supporting us. And it doesn't matter whether it be the Call of the Wild, the HFL, we're involved in a lot of other community events throughout the hills, and that's why I like being involved with sport, because I think that brings everyone together at different times and different requirements.
Australian Paving Centre has been established since 1986, but we're more than just paving. We're retaining walls, concrete sleepers, garden walls, stone cladding, and natural stone is certainly a big part of our business. We've got good quality staff that give good quality customer service. If you go to www.australianpaving.com and then to find a store, you can find all of our 15 stores at that website.
Hi, it's John here from Littlehampton Landscape and Firewood. We have all your landscaping supplies. We have our premium firewood, from our red gums to our blue gum to our mallee root. Come down and see us. We're just behind Littlehampton Clay Bricks and Pavers.
Hi, I'm Jared Tate and I'm from AHLG. AHLG is all about making life better, one outdoor space at a time. From landscape design to high-end landscape construction and all your lawn and garden maintenance needs. We're based in the Adelaide Hills and we've got you covered.
Welcome back, HFL Chat, Legends Edition. We're talking to multiple premiership winner, John Coventry. So Johnny, 1977 sees another change of coach. Warren Foster departs, interstate work, and a former South Adelaide teammate, Keith Stewart, takes over, and it's business as usual with another flag.
Yes, Keith played the year before for us.
He did, yes.
And because he moved up here, of course, he lived back at Bridgewater there. And I mean, Keith was, we played up at Blank for 1064 premiership, and also that's where he played for us. But Keith was similar to Warren, just virtually followed on. And we seemed to retain all our players, and it was another good year.
All right, come 1978, and the man sitting next to me throws his hat into the coaching ring. How did that come about? Was it time that you thought, or was it because they needed someone to coach, or?
Yeah, they needed someone to coach.
And you thought it was time?
Oh, not really. I mean, to me, I never thought of myself as a coach or a senior footy. I mean, I used to coach modified kids. I coached a lot of kids in under 11 who ended up playing with in senior football. But it was just, they came to me and said, look, we're looking for a coach. And of course, it was our last year because the discussion of amalgamation to form Mount Lofty had already started, sort of thing.
They'd already commenced.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was, I suppose, something that I thought, give it a go and see what happens. So, had to go. We had lost a few players from the previous year, some experienced players. And it was a bit of a tough start. We had a few young and inexperienced people there, but we did make the grand final. And again, we're up at half time, and didn't quite finish it off. So it was disappointing in that respect. But
one of the great things, and to speak from personal experience, you gave a lot of young blokes the opportunity to play A-grade football. Some went on to some very good careers. So feather in your cap, and obviously you saw the potential in the future.
Well, I think, I mean, it was Jeff. I mean, I tried to instill in some of these blokes the way I used to train myself. I mean, because, as you know, playing centre, you had to be fairly fit, because not like these days, you get dragged, flop over every 5 minutes to sit down. But it was different, and you had to make yourself, fit. And I tried to instill this into these blokes and tried to, get a few of the other skills going and what have you. And but there was a few young blokes that, came in and seemed to take the bull by the horns. And
So you mentioned about already movement in the background about an amalgamation, and if I recall, both playing groups, I think in about July, had meetings at their respective clubs on a Sunday, and they did vote the fact that it would happen at the end of the season. So knowing that in the background, John, how much of a distraction was that? Knowing that the club wouldn't be there next year, and perhaps as people had other agendas.
Yeah, I don't think there was an distraction to us. I mean, because our emphasis was on trying to win games through for the game. But I don't think that came into it, to be quite honest, during that period, as far as I can recall. And I think most of the players sort of did the same way. I mean, we still treated Sterling as our enemy when we played him on Saturdays. It wasn't an influencing factor, I don't believe. But
and being such a great servant of the club, and then, as you said, coaching, do you wear the unwanted tag of only being the second Heathfield Aldgate United A-grade coach to lose a grand final?
Yeah, well,
unfortunately, you didn't have the opportunity the following year to ride it.
No, well, that's right. But I mean, it's I was proud more of the blokes that took the field, in that grand final. I can still see a fair bit in my mind of the actual game and what have you. And we were just beaten by a team that was got to beat us one day in the grand final. Unfortunately, it happened to be that year that I was coaching.
4 previous grand finals, so it was about their time under Richard.
Richard was very, very astute sort of coach,
indeed.
And take my hat off to him. They did well.
So we move into 1979, the formation of the new club in these very rooms, if I remember. And little known fact, though they're the Mountain Devils, at one stage it looked like they would be the Hawks, if you recall.
Correct.
But SAFA had a rule that clubs couldn't share the same colours, and Modbury already in SAFA were the Blues, and they'd opted to change to the Hawks. So the initial design for Mount Lofty was going to be the Hawks, wasn't it?
That's correct. Yep. Yeah. I don't really. I can't really recall where the Devils came from, as in where it came up with that. But we just had to be
Mountain Devils.
Yeah,
we're going to play in the Metro competition. So.
Yeah, that's right, and we had to. Obviously, we had to have something which was different from United and Sterling.
Yes,
as part of the agreement they had, and but I can't even recall why we were going to be the Hawks, to be quite honest.
I think maybe that was the colour that was available.
Well, it could have been, and maybe
success of Hawthorn.
And Frank Clements having been one of the prime movers for the amalgamation, he was a Hawthorn supporter, so it could be from that. I'm not sure, but
so exciting anticipation. There's a team from the Hills based at Heathfield. Named Mount Lofty will be playing in the Metropolitan SAFA competition, South Australian Football Association, which at that stage they were going to try and make the the best comp outside of Sandford. Well done to you. You were voted in as the inaugural A-grade captain, but tragedy. Opening game down at Hectorville Oval, Daily Oval, playing Hectorville, and snapped the Achilles tendon.
Yeah, about 10 minutes into the game. So, there goes that season.
Great build-up and everything. And
that's right. And, a bit of a disappointment. I mean, I can still remember when it happened because... I was running across the field, I had the ball. And next minute I felt like some bloke would come and kick me in the back. And I thought... Where'd he come from?
The invisible man snuck up on me.
And I just had to stop banging on there. So it was just one of those things. So I was lucky that during my career, I never up in the hills here. I missed very few games through injury, and
it was just ironic.
That was that one, yeah. So that was a season.
So how was it? I should say you'd be around about approaching 30 at that stage. Were you 21, 30?
Yeah.
So to receive such an injury, which a lot of people ended their careers, it's just your desire to get back and play footy, a game you love, but the rehab and the hours you got to put in. It's credit to you to get back the following year, actually.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a fair bit of work to get there, but you knew it was going to come good. And
in what way was there a legacy from it? You couldn't turn as quickly, or
no, not really. I mean, it's the surgeon always said, you'll never do it again because it'll be twice as strong because they layer it. They layer it together. So it was more a matter of getting the stretching it, getting it back to the thing, it didn't seem to, even to this day, doesn't have a problem with with it. So I was lucky, through my career, and that was the worst one, I suppose. And then had my face knocked in for 3 spots playing Elizabeth one day, but that brought me out for a few games. But other than that, pretty lucky.
So out of adversity comes triumph, mate, ecstasy, because in 1981, Mount Lofty win their first A-grade premiership in the SAFA competition, and you're back as captain, so that was a great moment down at Theberton Oval, and actually destroying Jeps Crosser. I think had more reports than goals kicked.
That was a bit like that.
Pretty brutal grand final.
Yeah, no, it was, and it was a great day. I mean, because back in 79, we ended up runners up, played down Port District, down Alberton Oval. Yes. But there was half of the Port Adelaide footy side. But
of course,
so it was a great move through, and it was a pretty vigorous day. But we come out top, and I think Jeps Cross kicked about 3 goals, 13 or something like that, and it was all over. But the late Mark Rathbone was him and a couple others did a commentary of the whole film. They had a video of it somewhere around the whole game, which was it's quite good. But it was
so we see the elevation or promotion into Division 1 of the competition, but by that stage you could sort of sense SAFA was starting to wane. I think there was 22 clubs in 2 divisions involved when Mount Lofty joined, and 79 by 1985 it's back to about 8 teams in 1 division, and it's just waning. Mount Lofty had always kept an affiliation with the Hills Football League, playing a C grade up here. So 1986 they returned as a whole club back up here to the Hills, and you obviously your A grade days you thought were behind, but settle in for a B grade flag.
Yeah, no, I played the odd game, but the game was, I thought it was time to move down and whatever else. And There were, even in the B grade side, there's Jeff Hampton and
Yes.
a few other blokes like that we'd played, Harvey, Harvey Dawson.
Yes.
And we had a pretty successful period from there on with the B grade. And
Was that another good thing, as you'd done previously in the A grade, just nurturing young blokes who probably in the B grade coming straight out of Colts and being on board on the ground with them?
Well, I mean, that was part of it. I think, one of the discussion over with a bloke before, earlier on, he said, well, do you feel guilty keeping these young kids out? I said, no. I said, you get them out there, you try and teach them some skills and you make them earn their spot. You can't just give people, a position.
Aren't you right?
You can't get it. So until I felt that it was time to keep going. But we went on, we won. I was fortunate enough playing for.
Yeah, well, you do a triple. 88,
that's right.
89 and 90. So,
yes,
But you're not lost A-grade football because in 1991, some young bloke who you coached years ago reverses the roles and he's coaching you in the Division 2 side, which pretty good year, make a grand final into a red-hot Mount Torrens side. But I think the young blokes who played in that side sort of got a lot out of it and grew in stature as A-grade footballers, but also old bloke in the back pocket at the age of 42, 41, 42 certainly. So you can still do it, an occasional run in the midfield.
Yeah, no, well, got to thank you, Jeffrey, because you were our coach, which was good. And it was difficult because we were a little bit segregated from the rest of the club, but we're travelling a place like Malang and Mount Torrens and these sort of areas. But it was good because, I mean, it was really, we still had a B grade in the central zone back in those days. So it was really, we were with A grade in the country, but we weren't we were still the second side of the club, if you like. And if the senior side needed players, they would keep pinching ours. But it was a good effort. We made the grand final, and Mount Torrens were actually had quite a few players come up from downtown. They was the only team they had. They were the team all year to win. But we didn't quite make it the final down at Pleasant Valley, but it was a good year.
But you're right, you become your own little unit because, as you said, playing away from the mainstream of the club and develop your own little, bus trips and everything.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, it was.
Support group. So,
for sure.
It was all done. So I think the following year, mate, you finally, as far as serious footy, that was it.
Yeah, I
22.
I think because we played at. I played a season of B grade, I think, after that, because we went out, because I know we played at Harndorf. I think we made in the final.
Actually coached that
side
again. We actually played Bridgie in the
Bridgewater
and it was like a rice paddy.
That's right.
And I actually made the comment, it was a close competition, I made the comment, whoever wins this game could win the flag, and of course they did go all the way through Bridgie. So, it was a right paddy field.
That's right, it was, so...
Because I remember the Yonker had actually flooded at Harndorf, so at Verdun there, so you had to go through a mile to get
through. That's right.
So it was pretty good conditions.
Well, just be. I mean, it's like all these things. The ovals back in the early days, you run around with, mud up to your ankles, sort of thing. It's not what it's now, but it was good. You just accepted it was just part of the thing. But and I think that, and then I think then. Well, I think you got involved in, or you were involved with the
Super
Rules, so over 35. So
we
had a few kicks on that for a while.
You would have been one of the younger blokes in that one, Nicole.
Well, younger starters.
Good time.
No, it was a good time. And even that Super Rules was good because. There was a lot of players there that you could see what skills they had at times, and it was a good way to give it up. And it was.
Hey, something I got to ask you, did you, with your success, mate, I know you loved playing with the local community, was there any time you thought you might try out downtown?
Well, there was. I went down to Sturt. I was still going to school down to Sturt. It was under 17, under 17, 19s. And Royal Charlton. Sturt was coaching down there, so... Went down, did all the pre-season, and I've still got a copy of my father had to sign approval for me to go down there and whatever else, all that sort of stuff. I still got a copy of that, and went down and just didn't feel right.
Fair enough.
And I didn't do myself much of course, the first night of training, I went and bought myself a brand new Port Magpies outfit for training. I didn't go down too well, running around under the oval.
Yeah. Port kits.
But
what
anyway.
were you thinking?
Oh, well. I mean, the thing is that, you know, well, we went down there and it was a good experience to start with. And I just didn't feel comfortable there, to be quite honest. And we played a couple of games in the thirds down there, and then of course the competition was starting up here, and I just went around and sat down with Royal Charden at his house in Stirling there, and sort of said, Royal,
it's not for me.
Coming back. I just don't feel comfortable down there. I want to come up here. And so I just didn't pursue it anymore. I just sort of no, that's it. I was very happy here, and I'm not sorry I didn't stick at it, because I had such a good time up here. You know.
So in more recent times, I know you've become involved with the Lofty Legends group, and also maintaining the club rooms and doing lots of working bees around the grounds. So you're still putting in, mate, off the field.
Well, we do a bit, do what we can, because you've still got to you've got to rely upon the volunteers. Are hard to get these days, as everybody's finding out. But you just do your little bit, and I keep away from the committees. Been on the committees for even when I was playing. You're the coach. You coach. You have captain, or you selector, or working on the actual the management committee. And then towards the end, I just sort of said, no, I'm finished with committees. I'm happy to help, but I don't want to have to put up with the everyday sort of stuff. So we just come and do our bits and pieces. So.
And another great honour for you, mate, about 5-6 years ago, might be now, the best and fairest medal here at Mount Lofty was renamed in honour of two great families, because the Coventry Doors medal, so that must be a bit of an honour for you.
Oh yes, I suppose it keeps a bit of the names of where you've started from coming through, and again it's a bit of a I suppose a bit of being a bit proud of that sort of thing, and it's good to be associated with Harvey, because it's not was just for Harvey, and then like his wife Jill, which happens to be a sister, and her two boys, their two boys, been involved with the club, and even their daughters, they play footy in the women's side of it.
Well,
So
that's right.
it still goes on, and I don't have any sons to grow on, so it's good to see that they do keep it going.
As we sit here, mate, and over our shoulder, just a showcase of an era that you were involved in. Just sometimes when you think of guys who play footy, and some of them not even playing a final, or let alone a premiership, and how lucky have you been in your footy career?
Oh, definitely. I think as was said all along, and really you got to take your hat off back to Stan Evans, and when he decided to start the competition. And I suppose you go back those early days where you were part of the community, and your family. My father was there in the committee, and all my brothers and all that. And I mean, it's just a flow on, and it's just something you thought you just had to do. And I was just very lucky to come through that period of time where we had just a group of people who just their life was this football club, community club, and that started back even the days prior, when the old Oval, where the Skyline days, they had the community club who ran all the stalls around there and organised this. They had 10,000 odd people there occasionally, meetings, and we had a hall built over there. There was a hall that was built again by the community, and I can still recall as a kid, I used to go there, and they'd always have a little fire out the front of the thing, and they all these old blokes, old blokes, but they were old for me then, sit around there and tell their stories and suck on their long necks, because that's what they did. There's been a few instances where a few pairs of footy boots were thrown in the fire because blokes, I could still see them saying, I'm not playing anymore. But it was just a good era, and it was just lucky, and I have a lot of friends from those days right through to now, and that's important, I think, and hence that's why we started with this golden era for United, to try and keep the tradition going a little bit, so that it's not lost, because it's good history there.
Just in closing, mate, as we said, the premiership expert, so we can call you that. What are the ingredients, the factors? What do you need to win a flag?
well, number one is fitness, I think, but I think...
and everything to go right on the day.
Well, true, yeah.
Factors that build you up.
Yeah, but I think, it's a matter... Well, it's what you play for, the start. It's what you start the pre-season for, to get that last day in September or whenever his last game in September. But there's a lot of factors can go against you, but it's on the day, really, where it matters. And I think you just got to go there with the right attitude, like you normally do, just say, well, we're going to win. But, you've got to understand there's a lot of pressure on it from your opponents because they want to do the same thing. So it's, you just aim for that thing. It's very hard. But
I tell you what, you had plenty of very good days, John.
Yeah.
Absolute pleasure. 9 times Hills Football League A-grade premiership winner, which you share with Roger Brooks and the late Herman DeRuse. That's a record that'll stand for a very long time, I'd reckon. And overall, 10 A-grade with the SAFA and all overall with the other ones, I suppose 16. So, as I said, you've had plenty of good days, John. So it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here on HFL Legends Chat.
No worries. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll be back in the future with further things here on HFL Media. Until then, Jeff Pistola signing off, and keep chasing your goals. And I must say, big thank you to our producer, Tomiya Hills, for once again another magnificent job. Catch you next time.